For the sound of the bell. Mind calm, body at ease, breathing quiet, sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. May the way of Buddha usher in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Om Amoka Vairakana Maha Mudra Manipama Chavala Pravataya
Please stand for the three refuges chanting. We're going to chant the three refuges in keeping with our Sino-Korean tradition. We'll chant them first in Sino-Korean and then in an English translation. The words might be unfamiliar to you, but just throw your voice into it because this is a sound practice. Shiva And now in English, please repeat after me. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha,
My deeply awakened mind,
my deeply awakened mind,
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma,
Truth manifesting everywhere,
truth manifesting everywhere,
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha,
Deep friendship and interconnection of all beings,
deep friendship and interconnection of all beings,
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
which must be cultivated to be known fully.
Please remain standing for our dedication. On this third day of May 2026, we acknowledge that this land where our temple buildings stand has been the home of native peoples, the Potawatomi, the Odawa, and the Ojibwe, the Council of the Three Fire Tribes, and also of Black Americans. We know that this neighborhood used to be a historically Black neighborhood during times of racial segregation and oppression. For our own awakening and for the awakening of all life, may the benevolent energies of our meditation, chanting, and full presence here at this service extend to all beings on this planet and throughout time and space. May there be deepening of our interbeing. May peace prevail and wars cease. Let us sit in meditation once again. Please follow along for some simple stretching exercises after meditation. Please sit comfortably for our Dharma discussion. Check 1, 2. Check. Good morning, Dharma brothers and sisters. When the Buddha was alive, a person once asked him, "What do you and your monks practice here?" And he replied, "Well, we sit, we walk, and we eat." And the questioner said, "But sir, everyone sits and walks and eats. What's so special about that?" And the Buddha replied, "When we sit, we know we are sitting. When we walk, we know we are walking. And when we eat, we know we are eating." Now, in our busy lives, we have goals and commitments, we have problems, we have all kinds of things demanding our attention. But how do we get from, I'm buttoning my shirt so I can go to work and I can get to the meeting? How do we get from there to, right now I'm just buttoning my shirt? And how do we get from there? Can we even get from there to, right now, I'm just putting this button into this hole? We have to know that if we're obsessing about the problem or the meeting or whatever it is, then that kind of ruminating can prevent us from being able to come at it with a fresh perspective later on, having taken a rest for a while from the meeting. We have to trust that the meeting will still be there and we will still be competent and we'll be able to handle it even without thinking about it while we're getting dressed. My father was not a Buddhist, but he gave me the best advice I've ever received. When he noticed that I was worrying too much about something in the future, he would say, "Don't cross that bridge until you come to it." And I think the Buddha would have approved of that sentiment. Much of the time, we strongly identify with our thoughts, but we can take a different perspective instead. In traditional Buddhist thought, when it talks about sensations, there were 6 senses that were listed, not 5. The Heart Sutra talks about, for example, it speaks of 6 sense organs: the eye, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. So in this perspective, the mind is just another sense organ, just as the eyes are the organ through which visual images enter our consciousness. The mind is thought to be the organ where thoughts enter our consciousness. So what a shift it would be for us if we gave our thoughts only the same level of importance as what we see or what we hear. Instead of assuming that our thoughts must be paramount because this is where the self seems to reside, they would simply be one of our 6 realms of awareness. If we look critically at our thoughts, we find that much of the time our thoughts are focused on me, 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 me. What am I planning to do today? How is this situation going to affect me? And to some degree, we need that. We need that in order to function in the world, but how much is enough? When we focus our awareness on direct perception instead, we're able to be open to not just me, 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 but we're also able to be open to what other people need or what the situation needs in this very moment. And it could be as simple as this person right in front of me just needs to be heard right now. When we're eating a meal at the temple, we eat in silence for the first 10 minutes. And during those 10 minutes, if I'm only focusing on my bowl of food, then I miss seeing the slight bow of the person who's sitting right next to me, indicating that he or she would like for me to pass them the bowl of fruit. It's a very subtle signal. They make a slight bow in my direction, and they're looking at the bowl of fruit. And if I'm narrowing my focus to just my bowl and what I'm eating, then I'm likely to miss that signal. And if instead of looking at my bowl, my mind is going here and here and here and here, then I'm even more likely to miss that signal from the person who's sitting next to me. When we notice that our minds are perseverating or ruminating or spinning around again and again about what we're worried about, one strategy is to try to shift our attention to our bodies. What am I feeling in my body right now? We might notice, for example, that our shoulders are tight. That often happens to me. If I'm worried about something, I shift my attention to my body and I realize, oh, I'm holding this in my shoulders. If I can just relax my shoulders, then number one, maybe if I relax my shoulders, I might have a bit less stress right now. And number two, I might have less soreness in my back later on. When we are worrying, sometimes we're telling ourselves a story, like, if this situation continues like this,
and then insert your own disaster story here based on your own thinking about what could happen if the situation continues like this. We have to trust that if I've already thought about a problem enough, then I'm not going to find the solution to that problem, whatever it is, if I'm thinking about it while I'm getting dressed. When we notice our minds dwelling on a problem, we might need to give it a rest, and sometimes quite literally give it a rest. The founder of the Calm app is named Alex Tu, and he said, "Sleep is not just vital to health, but perhaps the single greatest source of creativity." I'm fascinated when I hear about the many anecdotes of people who had an experience of problem solving or invention or discovery after sleep. The Russian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev, in 1869, he had been working for 3 days straight without finding a pattern on how to organize the chemical elements. So he gave up and he fell asleep. And as he later wrote in his journal, "I saw in a dream a table where all the elements fell into place as required. Awakening, I immediately wrote it down." And that's how he created the periodic table. Then there's the legend of how Elias Howe invented the sewing machine, the needle for the sewing machine. Elias Howe had struggled to create a sewing machine that worked, and he could not get the needle to work properly. And he fell asleep, and he had a nightmare that he was being attacked by cannibals. And the cannibals gave him 24 hours to finish the machine or they would kill him. And in the dream, he noticed that the cannibals were waving spears, and the spears were pointed downward, and each spear had a hole at the bottom of the tip. And when he woke up, it inspired him to put the eye of the needle at the point of the tip instead of at the top of the needle. And it's said that that's how he invented the lock-stitch sewing machine. So perhaps he had been thinking about it enough and he just needed to give it a rest, and his subconscious was continuing to work on it during that time that he was resting. This pattern, we see that it applies sometimes not only in science, but also in art. Keith Richards, guitarist for the Rolling Stones, says that he wrote the hit song, "I Can't Get No Satisfaction," while he was asleep. As he later told NPR, "I go to bed as usual with my guitar, and I wake up the next morning, and I see that the recording tape is run to the very end. And I think, well, I didn't do anything. So I put the recording back to the beginning, and I push play, and there, in some sort of ghostly version, is the whole opening verse to the song Satisfaction. And after that, there's 40 minutes of me snoring." He says, "But there's the song in its embryo, and I actually dreamt the whole damn thing." Paul McCartney, too. Paul McCartney says that the song Yesterday came to him during a dream. He said that he woke up with the melody playing in his head. And although he now had the tune of the song, he didn't have an idea for the lyrics, so he wrote some lines as a placeholder, and what he wrote about was scrambled eggs. And the exact verse that he wrote as a placeholder was, "Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs." And if he had kept those lines, the song probably would not have been as big of a hit as it eventually was. Before we get into our discussion, I'd like for us to practice a simple embodied activity. And so to set the stage for this activity, I want to read for you an excerpt that was written by Thich Nhat Hanh. He wrote about an interesting thought experiment. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist leader who passed away a few years ago. He writes, imagine that two astronauts go to the moon, and while they're there, there's an accident, and their ship cannot take them back to Earth. And they have only enough oxygen for 2 days. And there's no hope of someone coming from Earth in time to rescue them. They have only 2 days to live. If you were to ask the astronauts at that moment, what is your deepest wish? They would answer, to be back home, walking on our beautiful planet Earth. That would be enough for them. They wouldn't want anything else. They wouldn't think of being the head of a large corporation, a famous celebrity, or the president of the United States. They wouldn't want anything but to be back here, walking on Earth and enjoying every step, listening to the sounds of nature, or holding the hand of their beloved while contemplating the moon at night. He says, we should live every day like the people who have just been rescued from dying on the moon. We are on Earth now, and we need to enjoy walking on this precious, beautiful planet. Zen Master Linji said, the miracle is not to walk on water or fire. The miracle is to walk on the earth. And incidentally, you might not have heard of the 9th century Chinese Zen Master Linji, but maybe you have heard the Japanese pronunciation of his name, which is Rinzai. So Thich Nhat Hanh continues, I cherish that teaching. I enjoy just walking, even in busy places like airports and railway stations. Walking like that, with each step caressing our Mother Earth, we can inspire other people to do the same. We can enjoy every minute of our lives. So in a minute or two, I'd like to lead a short walking meditation. And each person can choose how they want to practice an embodied activity. You do not need to walk. We'll walk in a serpentine path in this room. But if you prefer to do a stationary kind of embodied practice instead of walking, that's good too. And it can be as simple as moving your fingers together like this, right where you're sitting, and paying attention to the sensation of touch in your fingers as you move them. When we're walking, we have our hands in a particular hand position, a particular mudra, it's called. So curl the left thumb and wrap the fingers around it to make a fist, placing it against your sternum. Cover the left fist with the right hand, with the right thumb resting on the left thumb, forearms parallel to the ground. When we're doing walking meditation, we keep our eyes downward. We don't let ourselves get distracted by the smile of the person who's passing us in the other direction. Just keep your focus on the sensation of your feet touching the ground. Lifting up your feet, placing them back down gently on the ground. When we do this, it's really natural for thoughts to come up. Just like what happens in sitting meditation. In walking meditation, thoughts will come up, even for those of us that have practiced meditation for a while. And that's natural. That's what the mind does. It is the organ through which thoughts enter. So when we notice that we're having a thought, it's important first to acknowledge that. And then, without beating ourselves up, to gently bring our attention back to our practice. And in this case, our practice is going to be paying attention to the sensation of our feet on the floor. So just like if a puppy is wandering away, you would gently lead the puppy back. That's what we do with our minds. We say, oh, I was thinking about that again. Okay, gently lead our mind back to what we're focusing on. So, people who would like to try to do a slow walking meditation, please stand up. And those of you who are standing, who were sitting in the back benches, if you could please line up. Oh yeah, take a moment to straighten your mat and cushion. Right. Okay, and then the people in the back row who are standing, if you could line up facing the door that's in the back corner here. And then anyone who was standing in the row over here against the wall, if you could line up in the back of the room behind them, please. And then we have a system. So from the back, the path is to come this way where Yangchal is standing and forward. And then this row face the back of the room. You'll go backwards. This row, please face the front of the room. When you come to the front of the carpet, you'll go this way. This row where Haju is, please face the back. And then this last row, please, the second to last row, face the front. And then this last row, face the back. And that's where you'll be joining the people in the back. Now we need to change our spacing to spread out a little bit. So please extend one arm in front of you. And if it is touching the shoulder of the person in front of you, please adjust your spacing so that we're a little bit more even. For example, the people in the back row can come up behind Yangchal, and Yangchal can come forward a little bit. Okay, and then you can put your arm down. And for people that want to do stationary practice in place, if there's anyone who wants to do stationary practice, I recommend that you take one of the empty chairs along the wall on that side of the room, instead of having people walk around you on the mats. But it looks like just about everybody's standing. Okay, so let's do this for a short period of time. You'll hear the bell to begin and end the walking meditation. And we'll pay attention to the sensation of our feet on the ground. of focusing your attention and concentration that way. Or you could choose to answer, have you ever had the experience of down for a while, and then after that rest, noticing that the answer just comes to you? Raise your hand if you have a comment.
Thank you. So I never really dedicated so much thought into something that I usually perceive as mundane. And when I was walking, I noticed how as my first foot would expand as it touched the floor, my second foot would slightly curve and arch upward, and then I'd lift up the second foot, and that cycle would repeat. And I kind of paid attention to that cycle, and it was really interesting to think about how we usually take mundane things for granted. We never really realize how much walking from one place to another is a gift in that sense.
One of the things that I noticed was some of the parts where the floor was a little bit softer and where it would creak. These places where it felt like my foot had real intimacy with the floor. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
What is the origin purpose of
The question is, what is the origin or purpose of the hand mudra that we did? Question is, what is the origin or purpose of the hand mudra? I actually don't know what it signifies in the Korean tradition. My first experience with Zen was when I was a teenager and I studied karate. And it was a Japanese style of karate. And there was a very similar hand mudra in karate. So when I see the one here, I tend to relate it back to that. That mudra meant patience. And it was done by making a fist with one hand and then putting the open hand over the fist to close it, to cover it, right? So that goes well with our virtue of patience, or sometimes it's called tolerance. Good question.
Thank you for your talk. I often have the experience at work where I'm doing work on the computer, I'm coding, I'm trying to come up with a solution. And at the end of the day, I can spend hours and just not go down a rabbit hole of, well, I made another problem for myself that I have to solve and not figure it out. And if I let myself get obsessive, I can spend 5 hours, and if I just go to step away and go to sleep, I don't know how it works, but I often have the experience that in the morning, in the first half hour at work, I'll come up with a solution and it will be easy. It'll seem like, why didn't this occur to me? It's a mystery to me, but it's funny that it happens that way.
Yes, thank you. It's great to be able to practice walking meditation as a big group like that. I feel like it's a good practice in patience, the mudra. One thing it reminds me of is this one saying of, don't just do something, stand there. And as I'm taking each step, trying to think of, the next side of the aisle or the next step, it's just, this is the step. And you can just be with it, just kind of stand there with it. And that relates to some medical training I was doing recently, where every 3 years I recertify in a wilderness first responder, and a lot of it has to do with rescuing people from like wilderness context and like carrying people and splinting broken limbs and that sort of thing. And as I was recertifying for it recently, I was like up studying. I hadn't like been out on big trips during those couple of years beforehand. So I was really focusing on trying to study. I remember the second day of this 3-day certification, the teacher pulls me aside and says, "I'm not confident with your skill set right now." That made me very not confident. And she's like, "Just want to let you know, in case I fail you tomorrow, I want to have you like be a primary responder with every exercise the next day." And so I kind of almost went to a panic. And then I was like, well, I can't exactly study the whole textbook in a night and kind of do all the exercises, splinting. So I'll take some critical notes and then I'll sleep. And then I slept for 11 hours. And I woke up at 6 a.m. the next day and went to the training. And the entire day I was first responder, like the primary, then got a secondary and a tertiary, and then an incident commander. And splinting, talking to patients, just acting as if it's real, because there's fake blood and, you know, each person takes turns acting as the patient. And she told me, "You're a completely different person today. I don't know what you did, but you deserve this certification." And so I went from thinking, might as well just give up, to I guess I really needed 11 hours of sleep and to kind of trust my muscle memory and go into it thinking, how can I provide the best care in this situation for this patient right in front of me, instead of how can I remember the entire textbook and the fact that I'm being graded and whether or not I'm going to pass this course. So thank you.
I have been doing some reading on Thich Nhat Hanh and the walking meditation, and there's something really, thank you for the opportunity to do this with the Sangha. That was really special. And I also felt very intimately connected with the floor. And I found myself, one, it was wonderful to do it on wood, you know, and to really feel the softness of the wood. And I found, like someone else had said, noticing the different spaces and how it felt on my feet. And I started to miss other places. And another thing I had noticed was, as I turned, all of a sudden in my peripherals, there were many more people. And then there was like my thoughts, that thinking organ got very busy. And so that was the hardest for me, was to let go of thoughts at that time and reconnect with the floor. And I also had feelings. I love the opportunity it gave me to notice, you know, the fears. A lot of my thoughts are seated in fear. And so I had this thought like, well, are all the teachers looking down, and what if something happens, and who's going to know, you know? And then just, it was a moment of gratitude to let go of that fear too, but also recognize that beauty in all those different parts of me, or, you know, my experience, that I do have a very strong part that is ready to protect me. But thank you for that opportunity to let go of that in the moment and feel safety afterward.
I think we have time for one more comment or question.
As I was walking, I could just, I was focusing on my feet, but as I was focusing on my feet, the feeling continued up almost into my abdomen and my hips. So I feel like I wasn't losing focus. The focus was just becoming greater and more enveloped in my whole being rather than just my feet. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Young Chal, you get the last word. You get the last word.
Thank you for the Dharma talk today. You know, when I'm walking meditation, I was told, pay attention. My teacher said when the left leg is extended, the right foot is planted. When the right leg is extended, the left foot is planted. He said the body naturally maintains harmony and balance. And we went to eat afterwards. He said, young child, look into your bowl and pay attention. He said, do you see the four great elements of earth, air, fire, and water? He said, do you see the farmer, his mother? All that's present. And that gave me a deeper appreciation and respect for the food that I take in this body. So I just pay attention. As you said earlier, I was taught to stay fully present in every moment. Thank you.
What a miracle it is, really, that our bodies automatically balance when we pick up one foot. And we're just balancing our entire body on that little area of the remaining foot that's planted on the ground. So here's the homework assignment. Sometime this week, see if you can pay attention to the sensation of brushing your teeth. Because we've brushed our teeth thousands of times, we think we know what it's going to feel like to brush our teeth. But we don't really know what it's going to feel like this time. And so we zone out. We think about other things instead. But when the dentist brushes our teeth, we're definitely paying attention to that. So can you have that beginner's mind sometimes when you're brushing your own teeth? That might be a more pleasant experience than going to the dentist. So let's do the 4 great vows while we're seated, and then we'll have some announcements, and then we'll have 3 formal vows before we end. So please repeat after me.
Can I ask one question real quick about that homework assignment?
Yeah.
How do they identify the people that don't have teeth?
Good question. There's a koan. Yeah. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to terminate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
Announcements.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Sopa.
Good morning. Especially welcome to visitors. I know we have quite a few here. Do we have any graduates here? Yeah, well,
Hey.
we know you. All right. Wait. I got something to say. Somebody has finished his PhD, so he is now Dr. Lekander.
Yeah.
We've been hearing about this saga for a while.
It was on how dream sleep integrates experience, by the way.
Oh, really?
Ah. All right. Next week, you're up here.
Okay, upcoming events include, there's going to be a one-day Zen retreat on May 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Includes vegetarian lunch, and come and focus your mind and deepen your practice. Families with children are always welcome. The next family service is going to be May 24th. It's a different Sunday than usual because it's Buddha's birthday. Yes, and that's the next announcement here is Buddha's birthday celebration, May 24th. We have flyers that you can take on your way out along the edge there. We have forms to sign up for lantern dedications. We do dedications. We hang them up on, these are the lanterns here. And we have a vegetarian potluck. There are youth blessings. And it's a fun day. You should come. Even newcomers, the kids have a parade. We have a potluck, everything. Okay, Peace Camp. Yes, a major highlight of our year. I went for the first time last year. It was fantastic. It's August 1st through 6th at Camp Talahi up in Howell. Is that right? Howell. We're also looking for volunteers to be counselors, and registration is now open, and that's on our website. Oh, I think there's a sign-up sheet out here too. Volunteer opportunities. Together Action on Saturdays from 3 to 5. We work a lot in the gardens. We work all in the temple buildings and grounds. Oh, today after service, we're having a bit of work practice. Meet Haju in the garden after tea. Is that 15 minutes commitment? Okay. Okay.
Compost and soil.
Okay. Holistic practice during the week is Qigong with Samatha. It meets every Monday evening from 6 through to 8, usually outside, weather permitting. It blends intentional movement, meditation, and breathing. It reduces stagnation of energy, enhancing the body's ability to heal itself. We're having upcoming meditation classes. We have it 2 different ways. We do 5 Thursdays in a row, and there's one that's a series of that's going to start on May 28th. Or you can do it as an overnight retreat where you come on Saturday, spend the night, and have breakfast. And breakfast, and into the next day. These classes help you establish a regular practice, prepare you for temple membership, and are open to everyone. For the safety of all who seek refuge here, we'll be locking our doors once Sunday service has begun. Please try to be here by 10 a.m. I know parking was really tight today because of graduation. A greeter will let you in if you come late. Iljan?
Oh, I'm sorry, my mind was blank. I gotta start over now. Recovery Dharma will meet at noon today in the library of the Storage Rudolph, the big yellow building right next door.
And for details about any of these things we've talked about, you can talk to any of the people in gray. And there are sign-up sheets for a lot of these things in the lobby. The temple is in need of your generous donations for support. There's a fishbowl, well, time and money, but there's a fishbowl for monetary donations and also a QR code and a credit card scanner. And you know what? I wanted to add something about the homework assignment. Try doing it. If you can't focus too much, try doing it with your opposite hand. That will make you think about it.
Thanks, Sopa.
Yep.